Okay, audio is working and connection is stable, at least according to my OBS. Welcome, my name is Ike, this is Switzerland.playit with TAGN, the Angry Game News, 10 AM Eastern, Monday through Friday. Pico Boy, ahoy! He is the first today in the chat. Saudi Arabia fixing EA? Doubtful. Doubtful. Very doubtful. I don't think so. I think it's gonna be less cool for a game. Less cool for gamers. But that's gonna be the main story of today. On the weekend, it was rumored, not like confirmed, but today, or like 90 minutes before I started the stream today for this show of TAGN, it is now confirmed. The Saudis, through their investment fund, the PIF, PIF, is gonna buy EA. I don't know how they can do that, just outright buying it and making it private. That's the biggest issue I have with that. Because it's about shareholders and all that. But that's like the last story we have for today. The big story of today. And many others are going to talk about that, so I'm not sure how much more informed you're going to get from me or from others. Before we get to that story, though, we have like regular game news and some not a lot of movie news today, but I try to focus on gaming in general, as you know, or maybe not know. But yes, that's the main gist of the show, video game stuff. And before we come to the king of gamers, the King Saud of Saudi Arabia, we're gonna talk about regular gaming stuff first. Helldivers 2 devs aren't making sequel plans. Helldivers 2 just got released on Xbox Series X and S. Big success so far. And they are not planning to make a sequel. They are gonna milk this cow as long as possible. Helldivers 2 has proven to be one of Sony's few breakthrough live service titles, especially after it went cross-platform with an Xbox Series XS release. But if fans thought that Helldivers 2 would lead to another action-packed sequel, they may be mistaken. Arrowhead Game Studio CEO Shams Georgiani's ambition for Helldivers 2 is to keep it going forever. In a recent post on Discord via Games Radar, Georgiani wrote that there are no plans for Helldivers 3, just Helldivers 2 for as long as it can go. He went on to say, think RuneScape. RuneScape very gay, very queer, so don't think about that. To convey the idea of keeping the same game alive for years and years. RuneScape did eventually got 2 sequels, which were largely updated versions of the original game. Helldivers 2 was itself released 9 years after its predecessor, although its exponentially bigger success would certainly justify a more timely sequel. Earlier this month, Georgiani appeared to indicate that Destiny's Style Social Hub was on the feature list for Helldivers 3. However, Georgiani has since clarified his statement and said that he was referring to an Arrowhead's next game. Whether that mystery project is, it hasn't been officially announced yet. A new Helldivers 2 update into the Unjust launched earlier in September, and so forth. So yeah, fans who might have thought we're gonna get a new Helldivers soon enough, I guess you're gonna be disappointed. But if it goes like with just putting more content in Helldivers 2, you shouldn't be too sad if you're a fan of Helldivers 2. You're gonna get new bugs, new planets to democratize, right? Bomb them to hell. Those fucking bugs. Don't like the bugs. Almighty, if EA is bought by the Arabs, looks like I will be buying EA games again. No more tunes. That might be something. Who knows? That might be something. But we come to the price and all that, and you might want to buy right now if you believe that deal is gonna be fixed, because it has to be approved by the what is it called, SEC in New York on the market, on the stock markets and all that. It has to be approved. because the price is going to be set in the near future when it's going to be approved. Just to keep you informed there. We talked a little bit about Final Fantasy remakes, and that the director of it, Hamaguchi, said like, yeah, you just need to accept game key cards. You just fucking need to accept. And it goes always well with gamers if you tell them what they have to accept and what not. And he is verifying now, confirming everything is according to plan, by the way. Don't think anything bad is going to happen with the third part of the Final Fantasy VII Remake. Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3 director tells fans not to worry about Rebirth sales. Insists the trilogy and there will be a proper high-quality send-off. Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3 director Naoki Hamaguchi has assured fans that despite Square Enix admitting last year that Rebirth did not meet expectations, the second part of the Final Fantasy VII Remake trilogy has been doing very well on both PC and PS5, and the team has been able to channel that success into a high-quality third installment. So let me get that just right away straight. Square Enix, the publisher, Square Enix and publisher and developer here overall, but mainly publisher, the company who wants to invest and make money with that game or that trilogy, said like it didn't meet expectations. But the director who took over in the first part, he was only co-director. Second and third part, he is the full director there. He tells otherwise, like, no, everything is super duper cool, guys. Don't worry what my boss actually said, my mother company there said. Don't worry, everything is going super all right. Sales were super cool, and we are just moving high quality games for the next part. Hard to believe, especially after what I heard last week, you telling players, yeah, just accept that you are nothing worth, just accept this game key card shit. The second entry, FF7 Rebirth, has been doing very well on both PS5 and PC, Hamaguchi told Automaton. I know some fans have expressed concerns, but please rest assured, we'll be able to deliver a proper, high-quality third installment. The concern revolved around the suggestion that the scope of the Part 3 might have been scaled back as a result of Rebirth's disappointing profits. It was disappointing, according to Square Enix, and he tells you, no, don't worry, man. Just buy my game next time. He feels a little bit like a piece of shit, in my opinion. But Rebirth has enjoyed a comeback of sorts after debuting strongly on PC via Steam. Hamaguchi also took the opportunity to assure the community that development on Final Fantasy VII Part 3 is going extremely well, adding the game is shaping up nicely. A lot of content is already playable, and the game's direction and form are firmly set in place. Right now, the team is united around refining everything. RPG fans have been on the hunt for news about the next entry in Final Fantasy VII Remake Trilogy since its last installment, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Launched in early 2024, we know development started as early as June 2022, with Square Enix saying last year that its goal was to see it launch by 2027. Excitement for the third and final chapter in the trilogy grew even more when the team revealed that it had completed its story earlier this year. And that's like a part I don't want to hear. You know? Yes, it's a remake, but the story should remain like mainly exactly the same. Because that's a big part what made this game actually so successful. The story is probably one of the best too in the Final Fantasy series in general. I know hardcore Final Fantasy fans say like, no, the earlier, very early NES versions of Final Fantasy series have a way bigger, better story. Not sure about that. Not sure. Let me check the chat before we move on with this article. Nope, so glad I never bought this chopped up crap. I love FF7, but not like this. Maybe if they didn't chop up the game and try to fuck the fans over with selling of the single game into different parts, more fans would have bought it. Hard to say because content-wise, it has like a lot to offer. Like just visually, like the environment, a lot of dialogue is put in the game and all voiced and all that, right? So hard to say if it would have made more sense putting all that stuff into one big game. The game would then take longer for sure to develop, so we wouldn't have still the remake as one game. And it would be probably about 250 gigabytes at least. So I'm not sure if the fans would be happy about that. But I see where you're coming from, mighty Gayatron. The first red flag for FF7 remake was that the hack team was working on it. The game that was split into 4 parts. Not sure what you mean about that. At least I don't remember. I'm one of the biggest FF7 fanboys, but not like this. You're not going to take advantage of my love for the game so you can squeeze out the most shekels. Fuck that. I see that, yeah. But you need, if you have the chance, like, to download the game somewhat on certain channels, over certain channels, try it out. Try out the first part. Because if you played, for example, Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core, which was like the story about Zack and in the soldier staff there, it's like the same mentality gameplay wise. It's not round based. So I think it's enjoyable. But money wise, if you want to spend it, that's a different story for sure. Yes. You know, 250 gigs, guess what? Put it on a physical put out CDs, no storage problem. 250 gigabytes, if you want to put it on CDs, a CD has 700 megabyte max. Max 700 megabytes, like regular CDs. That's 0.7 gigabytes, so go calculate that. And even with DVD and Blu-rays, you have no Blu-rays that are that big. The biggest Blu-ray is 100 gigabytes, so you can put that on physical. You need like to ship literally SSDs for the game. No, I just told you. Anyhow. Yeah, I mean, story is completed. So they changed a little bit the story, which I didn't like in the first part either, to be honest. Like where the ghosts come from. What is the origin of those black ghosts? They changed a little bit the story there, which I didn't enjoy that part, but yeah. More Lies by Sony, mainly. PS5 is Sony's most successful console generation ever, and it's not even close. And bullshit. PlayStation boss touts PS5 as Sony's most lucrative gaming box yet. Sony Interactive Entertainment CEO Hideaki Nishino was the keynote speaker at the Tokyo's Game Show 2025, and his topic was the PlayStation Store. Covering its evolution and current financial dominance, he flashed a chart showing how revenues have kept climbing with each new console. What's interesting is that this is happening despite PS5 sales tracking only slightly ahead of PS4. So where is the growth coming from? In part, it's the explosion in microtransaction in free-to-play games like Fortnite. Yes, squeeze those players with all those microtransaction bullcrap. And I think we should just keep an eye on this graph here. If it fucking loads at one point, come on. You can do it. I believe in you. I believe in you. Okay. Give me just a fucking picture. There. And you see here PlayStation, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, and PS5. And in dollars, in billions, 24 billion for PlayStation 1, 44 billion US dollars in PlayStation 2 revenue, 71 billion in PlayStation 3. PS4 has 107 billion. And in numbers only, PlayStation 5 is ahead of all the other consoles. But it is not inflation calculated. So those numbers don't reflect like the real revenue income there. Hi, Aramis! And he comes just in with a gift that's much appreciated, buddy. You can say hi, too. But thank you for the gifted. Very like it. And Mighty Gayatron got it.
Oh, hell yeah!
And, I mean, this is pretty much just before the scamdemic, and in the scamdemic, the value of the dollar plummeted down like a lot. Just roughly, like the dollar is only half worth prior to 2020. So this number is more like 170 billion US dollars valued. So it's not up yet with PS5. But it's just as usual. They're trying to convey half-truths here to the people, giving you just absolute numbers, but not real value behind it. It's also the expansion of subscription services like PS Plus, and then there's the fact that people are still playing on PS4. So even though the install bases are similar, the overall footprint of active PlayStation players spending money is seemingly larger. Yeah, you don't tell us which part goes actually to the PS4. If you have still a PS4, you can go in the store and buy certain games, you know. So again, just half-truths as usual. Plus, the consoles keep getting more expensive. With graphs like this, did Sony really need to raise the price of the PS5 another $50 US nearly 5 years after it launched? No, it did not need to do that, but because the dollar just got devalued over the last 5 years like crazy, you're paying still the same amount for the same console hardware. Old hardware, actually. Have a great week, everyone. You too, Aramis. Oh, damn, they raised the price. Wow. Yeah, that was like 3 weeks ago-ish. And in Europe, that will come to the US sooner or later too. They also like decreased the storage on the PlayStation itself from 1 terabyte to 825 gigabyte. That's like 15% or so less storage space for games installments. Either way, it's an interesting data point. Amid debates about console makers going platforming agnostic, will PS6 just be a PC with a PlayStation logo on it, or is Sony, like Nintendo, married to the hardware business long term? They're gonna publish a new hardware for sure, but I think it might be the last PlayStation hardware we're gonna see with the PS6. Oh, yes. They might see they keep sticking it to their consumers. I mean, they want to make money. They want to make money. It's not like they are a charity. But I just don't like how they try to make money. By lying to you, pretty much. Microsoft's solution for PC gaming's most annoying headache is finally happening. This is more hardware related. Kind of. They try to tell you how it's gonna work in the future. PC gaming is wonderful. You can customize games as much as you desire, run them at high frame rates, and enjoy all sorts of useful advantages. But one really annoying part of gaming on PC in 2025 is dealing with shader compilation. Thankfully, Microsoft is rolling out a solution, but it might take some time before you get to enjoy its benefits. Yeah, it's taking a little bit too much on PC gaming, like with those shader compiling crap. And as long as you don't update your system, even like the game itself, no auto updates, it's going to happen via Steam or such platforms. It's going to do it one time, the shader compiling at the beginning, but I have heard reports, for example, on Borderlands 4, that the shader compiling took like up to 15 minutes, like the first run, till you can finally play, which feels weird. And yeah, I don't like the development there for sure. Shader issues and lack of unified memory are the biggest issues with PC. I think it's lazy actually development, lazy programming, coding in games. If you don't allow technology to work like seamlessly with today's hardware, you're doing something wrong. You're doing something wrong. And the shader compiling, if you are running it from an SSD, shouldn't take longer than 2-3 minutes max, in my opinion. Over the last few years, game developers have started implementing shader compilation on PC. The idea is for your GPU to compile as many of the shaders that will be used during gameplay as possible ahead of time and limit how much stuttering you feel while playing. It's not a perfect solution, but it's a pretty good way to improve how well games play on your PC. But the big problem with compiling shaders is that it takes time, and you're often left looking at a screen for a few minutes or more, depending on your PC and how many shaders the game needs to compile. In theory, you only have to do this once at startup, but in reality, you're likely to do it a few times as big updates or changing you make to the game's settings can force another shader compilation. I have even run into games like Borderlands 4, or you're mentioning it here too, that compile shaders mid-game when fast traveling for the first time. So yeah, even it goes even farther with Borderlands 4. When you first time fast travel in the game from one point to a different point, it also needs to compile more shaders. Damn well optimal. Randy Pitchford. Yeah. Damn well optimal. Doesn't sound like it. It's all very annoying, but thankfully Microsoft has a solution that is now in the wild. As spotted by PC Gamer, Microsoft Agility Software Development Kit, a collection of game development tools for DirectX, has been updated to 1.618 and now supports Advanced Shader Delivery, ASD. This tech, which was announced last month, is Microsoft's plan to get rid of those annoying shader compiling screens. The basic idea is that instead of your GPU and PC compiling all the shaders at game boot, ADS will contain a large database of pre-compiled shaders for various hardware and API setups. You download a game and it includes all the shaders you'll need, already compiled offline and ready to go. This all feels like you're doing some kind of fucking circling around here. That's stupid as fuck, in my opinion. Like, the game takes advantage of your GPU's memory pretty much, right? Puts everything it can into that memory with this compiling shader stuff. All the shaders, all technologies in that memory. But now we have the problem that those shaders are just that big and your PC needs to compile them according to your GPU and what your GPU is capable, pulling those resources out of the game's folder. And now Microsoft has the solution, giving you the already compiled stuff for your GPU and your CPU, pretty much. It feels all very stupid, very, very fucking stupid. What happened to like the old technologies where you just had the GPU memory pretty much only for the texture, like big textures putting in there to be loaded quickly and all that. Now you just renamed those textures and of all sorts, even like frames for the characters and all that into shaders. So shaders is a big word there. And Microsoft is going to deliver that to you pre-compiled for your GPU. It's fucking stupid. I think that's not the solution. I think that's going to make just stuff worse, because game developer in the future will be like, if Microsoft is going to do the whole work, just be more lazy, do it even less coding-wise smart. Just put everything into that shader compiling pile of shit there. I don't like that at all. I don't like that at all. It is a difference if you have a console. We'll come to that in a second here. Steam Deck has precompiled shaders which really boost performance. Yeah, but that's not the issue I have with it. You should not have those big compiling processes. God, I wish Sega would come out with a console, or maybe even Elon would, kind of like MS did with their first Xbox. Man, that console was bulletproof. Not true. Not true. It was a nice console, but it was pretty much just a regular PC. And they should make a remake of that console. And fuck Elon, Mighty Megatron, get your shit together. Elon is a dickhead. Elon can't program shit. I'm telling you. He is just a business dude. He can't program. He can't engineer. He never did anything. Go research. He is just a business dude. He just put money into stuff and hopefully it's going to succeed and shit like that. Elon can't think about that, really. He's not as smart as you might still think. Unified memory helps a lot. It might. I guess they didn't know async existed. Ahoy, ever eaten? For fuck's sake. Okay, so I saw I didn't refresh. Then thought, well, shit, I'm late anyways. Time for a 5-minute shower. At least you're not smelling bad and entering the chat. Good on you. I hope consoles don't die because they're stupid shit like this going on with PC. I pre-download shaders on my Linux desktop, but they aren't compiled. They have to compile in the background. And that's my worry. Those ports to PC when the game starts out on the console have always had issues. I don't mind going to PC, but not with the kinds of issues because different hardware, blah. I mean, that was always a thing with PCs. It's even more unified these days. Back when NVIDIA started with their GeForce stuff, you had like all kinds of different GPUs, you know? I smell divine, Ike. Divine, okay? That's a very humble phrasing there. I smell divine. How can Microsoft guarantee precompiled shaders when the hardware varies? I mean, you have pretty much just 3 components you have to consider for the shaders in the video games. The GPU, which GPU chip it is, pretty much, right? Which generation of chip. CPU probably, just for the instruction, how the data flows through your system. And maybe the chipset of your main board. Other than that, you don't need to vary a lot these days anymore. If you consider those 3 components, you can pre-compile probably a bigger database. Yeah, I don't want to deal with all that shit. I just want to pop in a game and play, you know? Everybody wants that. As spotted by PC gamers, we just read that part. This tech, which was announced last month, is Microsoft's plan to get rid of those annoying shader compiling screens. Basic ideas of the GPU and PC compiling shaders with boot, blah, I read that all. Yeah, This is essentially how consoles get around having to compile shaders when booting up a game, but it's much easier over there as devs only have to manage a few setups. In the world of PC gaming, there are many different hardware configurations to deal with, making it trickier to pre-compile everything. But AMD, Intel, and NVIDIA are all working together alongside Microsoft to provide devs and storefronts with everything they'll need to pre-compile shaders for as many hardware variations as possible. and then offer these to consumers when they buy digital games. Yeah, I mean, if you work only with Microsoft together, though, you have the problem of how about Steam? What is happening with Steam? Is Steam doing the same sooner or later? Precompiled stuff for certain configurations. Epic Store, GOG. I mean, it's on every front's the same. So I'm not sure if working only with Microsoft is better for the consumer in the end. Because then Microsoft can pretty much claim like we are the only one who think about our gamers, you know? We give you like savings of 10 to 15 minutes of your life. And everybody gonna go buy Microsoft stuff? Nah, hard to say. You're not gonna trick me though with that shit. For now, ADS is only available on Microsoft Xbox Store app and only when using the Asus ROG Xbox Ellie and Xbox Ellie X handhelds, which about to launch on October 16. So yeah, they're gonna try out on that handheld in the near future, and see how it goes. And if players are gonna be happy with it, they're gonna extend that. But yeah, I'm not a fan of this development in general. That you are relying so much on shaders alone. Feels lazy. Yeah, to be honest, having been OLD, I went from installing games on like 15 discs to plug and play, and it's awesome. I actually get mad if it doesn't work that way. If precompiled shaders were so easy, why didn't Microsoft do it this decade ago? Because a decade ago, we hadn't those shaders compiling things really happening for many games. I can't really say about any game off the top of my head that took me longer than a minute 10 years ago. But yeah, because Microsoft is focusing more on software, on publishing games, on distributing games with their Xbox app on all the consoles, even probably in 5 years from now on toasters, Xbox on toasters. Who knows? They can do this stuff now, focus more on it, and it's has become just an issue. It wasn't an issue ever. The last time I compiled in a game was, I would say, maybe in Ghost of Tsushima, the first time I played it again. Maybe. Other games I don't remember. Because if you take longer than 2 minutes, I'm gonna be pissed. And I don't want to play such games anymore. So yeah. As for someone that works in IT, networking, or voice IP, I already have to deal with different hardware types, iOS software, and the complexes of command line between them. Give me a POSIX capable terminal on macOS, BSD, and Linux, and I'm happy. I don't want to sit there in front of my PC and do more configuration. I mean, you don't do more configuration, you just have to wait. That's the point here. Microsoft just wants to save you 10, 15 minutes of your life in the future. But again, I think that's all just lazy approach. I think you making your games not better by putting just more shaders into it, just so it looks in certain situations a little bit prettier with certain shaders, right? I think you're not solving anything here, Microsoft, because in the future, game developers just gonna be more lazy. If they see that as a solution, oh, that's cool. You in the recommendations of games in the future, you might have like pre-compiled shaders for this configuration recommended and stuff like that. It's just weird. I don't like this development. Shader compilation at checkpoints, so that's even worse. I remember those sloppy days as kid. Yeah, it was cool. First, no, it was never cool. Changing discs never was really cool. Kind of reminds me of Metal Gear Solid 4 installing new data at the chapters. I don't remember that though. Batman Arkham Knight. I don't like the game in general, but I also don't remember having shader compilation weights there. I didn't got it like on release though. They fixed a lot, I think. Unreal Engine 3 game for sure wouldn't have been benefited from pre-compiled shaders. Don't know. Now, kind of a sad story, just by a random game developer. MOBA, 15 years in the making, shuts down before leaving early access. A MOBA that's been in development for 15 years and launched into early access in May 2025 to a mostly positive Steam rating has unceremoniously shut down. The game never left its early access period and, according to the developer Lunchbox Entertainment, couldn't keep going despite the team's best efforts. It was actually, at the very beginning, it was made as a mod for Warcraft 3, and you see it like in the visuals, but it became a standalone game, 5 versus 5 on high seas. And you see very well where it came from. Those Warcraft 3 graphics. And it was successful, but not in financial means, unfortunately. So you had this pirate fighting PvP game. 5 versus 5. Sirico. Play on Steam. Well, not anymore. The Steam page is still there. In the video description, you have the link to the article if you want to check it out more. But yeah, they had to stop the publishing because no money, no resources. In Discord, they told us, the developer that is, "Hi everyone, getting emotional just writing this," Jack of the Box wrote. "Today is the day we pull the plug on our servers. Despite our best efforts, we can't keep Sirico going. So we'll be shutting things down on Wednesday the 20th, August that was. In other words, Sirico will go offline in 2 days. All Patreon supporters who subscribed in the last 90 days have been refunded. As much as it sucks to shut off the servers, we are really proud of Sirico and we are going to do everything we can to keep making games so one day we can bring Sirico in the future when we have more resources. Thank you all for being a truly amazing community. You all have gone above and beyond to make our game and community the best it could be, and for that I can't thank you enough." It's kind of sad. I didn't know about this standalone mod made out of Warcraft 3 engine. 15 years ago it started. And because no money is there, they couldn't keep it alive. Needed to turn off the servers. Maybe this news will bring some publishers some money, some investment money into the play. Who knows? And players who love this game gonna be able to buy it sooner or later. Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 2 is still coming, but what's in it? We don't know yet. In late 2023, Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 1 brought most of the early games in the franchise. Two modern consoles, sorry. Since then, fans have clamored for Konami to complete the collection of games with Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 2. Now the producer behind Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater has confirmed that Volume 2 is still in the works, but declined to confirm any titles including in it. During a presentation at the Tokyo Game Show, Metal Gear Solid producer Naoki Okamura fielded a question about the next installment of the MGS Master Collection. Ex-user Kowabara shared a fan translation via Games Chronicles, which essentially said that Volume 2 is moving forward, but the team isn't ready to share any information about it yet. I mean, many people just hoping that the second collection volume here is gonna have at least Metal Gear Solid 4 on the PC, pretty much. Because Metal Gear Solid 4 is one of the few games that never got a release outside of its original console release, PS3 that is. And it would be nice to have Metal Gear Solid 4 with 4K textures, with all kinds of goodies for modern PCs. I would welcome that. Chat just died. Nobody wants to talk anymore about anything else. And that's the problem. Devs are lazy. They are not lazy here, though. It seems they are working forward to the Volume 2. Volume 1 had like the 1, 2, 3 and the Peace Walker, which in my opinion is a dog shit game. I absolutely hated it. I tried to enjoy it, but no. It was not mine at all. Capcom explains why it's releasing 3 Resident Evil games at the same time on Nintendo Switch 2. I reported on that. I told people that finally confirmation is there. You're gonna get Resident Evil 7, 8, and the new upcoming 9, Requiem, on Switch 2. But now, supposedly, Capcom explains. And I'm gonna read it, and I don't think it's explanation though. Actually, Village was the game we first prototyped and tried out on Switch 2 hardware when we first got the kit. We had cloud versions originally for the Resident Evil 7 that ran on the first Nintendo Switch. So we had a bit of a baseline there for the hardware itself. Its predecessor, at least, and Village running natively on Switch 2 was such a smooth process that we thought, oh well, we can look at Requiem as well. That, as we said, went smoothly. So we had 2 of the 3 kind of working at that point. And we were like, well, let's go with the whole hog and add in 7. It just made sense to us to release them all at the same time when Requiem comes out, so that in one go you go from not having these games on Switch 2 to Switch 2 to if someone is a new player and they went to check out the 3 most recent games in the series. They can just jump in. What a long phrase. You can go from the new game or start at 7 and go through to 9. I mean, if you had such big success and it just ran smoothly after you tested with the first one there, why don't you also publish remake of 2, remake of 3, the remake of 7? Those are all the same engine. And I am assuming they will run perfectly well as well. It's just weird. I would have expected you go like somewhat in one line there. Ahoy Blues Nut. Ahoy Cheddar. Eddie Munster. I don't know who that is. I don't care. But yes, that's their explanation. We tried it. It ran smoothly. So we tried the other 2s also. Great explanation there. Thank you so much, Capcom. I don't think that's a real explanation. That's just like how you found out yourself that it worked. I don't know why they are so successful. Not with their IPs. And with they, I mean DCU, James Gunn, and his Detective Comics universe stuff there. But they are in headlines every fucking day, I'm telling you. Every day I check for news on video games, I see also stuff about James Gunn here, James Gunn there. Every day, man. It's super annoying. But sometimes I have to report on certain stuff, and this looks like a story that shows you how stupid all that crap is and how hard they try to make it interesting and make it appealing to you that you want that stuff. But really, nobody actually enjoys that shit too much. But they are good with marketing. I'm gonna give them that. Keeping in headlines the whole time, it's crazy. Superman star David Cornsweet doesn't have a cameo in Peacemaker, and he's not happy. Oh no, the humanity. What do you get for the man who has everything? Well, for Superman, aka David Cornsweet, a cameo in season 2 of Peacemaker would be nice. Unfortunately, though, according to the showrunner of DCU show and mastermind behind this world of suicidal squads and Man of Steel, it just wasn't on the cards, not in the cards. While breaking down the recent appearance of Gas my ass. No, don't gas my ass, please. Lex Luthor and Nicholas Hoult in this week's episode of Peacemaker, James Gunn was asked by Variety if we could expect his arch nemesis to swoop in and make an appearance as well. However, Gunn made it Kryptonian crystal clear there'd be no super surprise. No, Gunn assured. In fact, David was very upset that Nick got to be in one of the show, and he didn't. It just didn't work. Like, they try so hard. They try so hard to show Peacemaker as this master DCU production that connects everything. Despite Gunn told us himself, like it's not gonna be like in at Marvel. And what he meant with that was actually it's not gonna be this universe connecting events happening all the fucking time, right? So you have this whole mess in the Marvel universes now that everything is connected and nothing means anything anymore because you have infinite amount of universes. You can go just through some quantum level happening, and all of a sudden everybody's alive again and all that crap. So if everybody is alive somewhere else, nothing matters anymore. And he's starting to do the same shit, despite telling us it's not going to be the same as the Marvel universe. Instead, Gunn spent time getting Peacemaker's latest foe, Rick Flag Sr., Frank Grillo, and the incarnated rival of Clark Kent in a room together, which feels like it's bad news for a lot of people in the DCU. I needed Lex in the show to serve a specific purpose. And actually, what Lex and Rick Flag are up to affects very much what happens in aspect of Man of Tomorrow, explained Gunn, referring to the Superman sequel that may or may not include a Brainiac. So all of that is connected. Yeah. And in Peacemaker, the bisexual Peacemaker, remind you better, a bisexual Peacemaker has this ability to go in other universes and visit himself with in a world where only white people live or shit like that, as far as I heard. So yeah, you're not solving jack shit. You're just making a mess very, very early on. I think Marvel didn't even have like this idea to mix all kinds of universes and galaxies and parallel galaxies and all that together, actually. When they first announced the biggest hit pretty much with Iron Man back in the days. I think that there was a development there that just people like, oh, right, we have that IP too in the Marvel universe. Let's bring that slowly into it. And they build up to the Infinity Wars there. Could this be the start of a terrifying friendship between two very driven and powerful souls? Blah, blah, blah. Who the fuck cares? But yes, he is already building up with his first big show production. James Gunn is that. with his first big show production, Peacemaker Season 2. He's already building up this major event stuff. And it's not even fun. I tried to watch the first episode of Season 2, and the fucking orgy already said to me, like, fuck this dude. He is absolutely out of his mind, and nobody should watch and give him money or subscriptions for that matter on HBO Max or whatever it's on. It's all gay, man. It's all gay. I still like Peacemaker, but wow, what was this season full of cliche non-surprises. Well, you're a little bit gay, Haste, so it's okay when you like it, I guess. But there were more tits, which is good. Tits are fine, but if that's like your driving force, just showing your tits and you're making like small-minded people happy, you're not gonna get me. That's like low effort. Peacemaker is still a fun show. It's gonna get worse, I'm telling you. Don't get lured in with that crap. It shouldn't be taken seriously. But that's what he tries to do. He tries to make something serious. He tries to connect stuff of his DCU all together, despite telling us he doesn't want same stuff like in Marvel. And you should have serious stuff too with your IPs, because the DC universe has a lot of IPs included, and some are just not fun. Some stuff is just serious. And that's, for example, the new upcoming movie, what was it, Sandman, is going to be a horror or a rated R movie, but he somehow will connect all that together too, you know? So, but he's going to put his Marvel humor, he transfer it to the DC. It's not going to work out, man. I showed multiple times that he is not a cash-making guy at DC so far. Not at all. I think he's just sabotaging his own company there, his own corporation. A little side note for people who might like that. Destiny Warriors Origins is 30 FPS on Nintendo Switch 2. Koei Tecmo explains why. The Switch 2 version is set to fixed 30 FPS, and stable operation is a priority in development. Because it's a great piece of hardware, I think it would be possible to display at 60 FPS if we reduce the number of soldiers to the same level as in the previous Dynasty Warriors games. But for this game, we are thinking it would be best to have thousands of soldiers and play at a stable 30 FPS. It's a great product, so please enjoy it. I mean, yes, Dynasty Warriors is known for the big, like, battlefields, and you fighting like a single guy with a single warrior against all those armies. It's fun. It was always fun. I mean, the first game was like actually a beat 'em up very early on. Gave you like a beat 'em up with all those leaders fighting each other. Just a regular beat 'em up. Go look it up. Dynasty Warriors on PS1, the first one. It was kind of a fun game, but not very successful. Their success started really with the big battlefields there. But yes, you're gonna have 30 FPS only with the Origins on Switch 2. Wow, 30 FPS, amazing tech. I haven't seen like how many warriors are really on the field, but I remember the first one I enjoyed. I think it was 4 Dynasty Warrior 4s or 3 on the original Xbox, and I had so much fun. And it didn't struggle with FPS, and still you had like the whole army coming towards you, and you just swinging and destroy the whole army. It was always fun. But yes, I don't remember iSystems had ever problems and not running it on a decent frame rate. It's just weird. I stand corrected. This is a great game on anything other than Switch 2. I mean, do you need really 60 FPS for such a game? It would be just nice, right? The first Dynasty Warriors was awesome, but later in the series kept the same monotonous battles and got boring quick. Who's your favorite character on Mortal Kombat? I'm not a big Mortal Kombat fighter, so Raiden. I don't care really. Played the OG on PS1. It was amazing when they first came out. Yeah, but it was not the same. The first Warriors by Koei Tecmo was a beat 'em up. No, not exactly like the same, like a Virtua Fighter or Battle Arena Toshinden or Tekken or all those beat 'em ups, or Soul Calibur and all that. But it was a beat 'em up. It was nothing like that, actually. Other side note, if you're a big fan of Zelda adventure like Breath of the Wild and Tears of Kingdom, you're gonna get pretty much the same with this newest installment, Hyrule Warriors. But this time you're gonna fight with the princess herself, with Zelda herself. Gonna be the exact, just same style, high resolution, but doesn't look like fun to me, to be honest. I didn't enjoy it like the other even to view. But yes, they showed you a gameplay finally on the Tokyo Game Show. Go check the link out. This time you have more pauses. You can select your certain fighting styles. Select objects, spells and all that. But visually it looks exactly the same, just upgraded. A little bit higher resolution texture, maybe a little more foliage, like grass and all that. But if you enjoyed Tears of Kingdom and Breath of the Wild, I guess you're gonna get this game too. Not for me, bro. But yeah, 10-minute gameplay footage finally revealed to the world. Sonya in Mortal Kombat 9. Sub-Zero. I literally just played 1 and 2. I didn't own the games, so just played those a little bit. Now, are you a Parasite Eve fan? I am Parasite Eve 1 fan. Love the game. Hated the second one and never touched the third one. But now a Chinese company made an Parasite Eve inspired game. Parasite Eve inspired sci-fi horror RPG Parasite Mutant, announced for PS5 and PC. Frontier Hunters Erza's Wheel of Fortune developer Ice Citrun has announced Parasite Mutant and Parasite Eve inspired sci-fi science fiction horror RPG set in the distant future. It will launch on PlayStation 5 and PC via Steam in 2026. And let's just check the trailer. It's not too long. Just have like a little feeling for it. Kind of okay cell shading. So even the music, they took a lot of inspiration from the music. Gameplay wise, exactly the same. She seems to have like some kind of dome, how far she can reach the enemy with her attacks. But she has also a sword for melee. Might be something for you, I don't know. Looks kind of decent. Weird monsters, weird mutants. Some robo fighting. Her name is Nova. Let's say I don't hate it too much. Even the weapons upgrade, kind of similar. Doesn't look too shabby, right? What's the story exactly about? I don't know. But even like the logo, the PM, very inspired by the original Parasite Eve, PE, right? Chinese like to copy. And if something is successful, why not copying it? Huh? Sort of looking forward to that. If you're a Parasite Eve fan, you might want that too. I don't know. Yes, you're right. The first Dynasty Warriors was a fighting game, and the subject then were beat 'em up. Yeah, I know. I know, because I mean, I didn't own the original, the first game, because couldn't afford any games really. Very rarely, once every 2 years, I had enough money for any kind of games on any console. But I had a lot of demo discs all the fucking time, and that game was on a demo disc. You remember demo discs, everybody? Lucky me, I downloaded all the UK official PS1 demo discs, all the UK and I think Japanese and US demo discs. Something like that, like a big, large collection of all those official ones. Love it. UrhG, Einstzeit bereit. Einstzeit? What the fuck is an Einstzeit bereit? I don't know what an Einstzeit is. Are you a fan of Outward, the first one? Side note, you're gonna get a second one. It's gonna launch in 2026. Not gonna read the article. I'm gonna just show a little bit here. Visually, what you can expect. Gonna be pretty much the same, just upgraded graphics.
To create Outward, we asked ourselves.
You're gonna play together with somebody else, and it's just gonna be build up
when
stuff,
people
resource gathering,
extraordinary things.
some fighting. It just looks visually pretty nice. If you're into building simulator with a decent amount of fighting and adventurous exploring,
by the calm that came
Outward 2 might be the one for you.
A time to ponder. What does it take to vanquish what is bigger and meaner than you? It's going to take everything you got.
Everything! Looks just okay. Outward 2, next year. In the summer. There any pissing? Pissing on your boots, UrhG. That's disgusting. Why do you like pissing so much? Especially by dudes in video games. Are you realizing it's very weird, man? OMG, the original Parasite Eve was so good and hard. I played it on my channel. There is... it's buried deep down into the retro playlist. But yes, Parasite Eve, the first one, great fucking amazing game. Soundtrack especially. You know, when they put a lot of effort into soundtracks. Squaresoft back then, man. I'm telling you. They lost a lot of their magic, unfortunately. I talked about this one when I first announced and showed it to you guys. That I think it's not going to be very successful. And it seems already some voices are speaking up here. Although on Reddit, whatever. PlayStation's new rewards program goes down like a lead balloon. PS Stars was by no means the best rewards program there's ever been, but at least there was an obvious benefit to investing your time into it. you could earn PS Store credit, and now Sony is in the process of killing it off. Earlier this week, the platform holder, that was last week, because I'm telling you what happened Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. The platform holder confirmed a new reward system in the franchise rewards, and the news hasn't particularly gone down well. Franchise rewards is geared around physical merchandise that you gain access to by unlocking specific trophies in the games the merch is tied to. Yeah, and I told you, like, for example, the first game will be Ghost of Tsushima. If you have the platinum trophy, if you've gotten it, you are rewarded, in quotation mark, by being allowed to give Sony your money for certain merchandise. And many people seem already not to be super happy. The t-shirt for $30, kind of okay-ish, but for a pin, $25 for a pin? Really? $25? And that's not even including the shipment. So yeah, fuck that shit. I think Sony is trying to fucking around with their fans. Not a good idea. Squeezing that kind of money out of your fans. I hope that backfires even more in the future. I'm not going to read the rest of this article, just those Reddit posts tell you a story about it's not rewarding if you make gamers firstly get to this trophy, like it's going to be an achievement for yourself mainly, but then pretending like, oh, we're going to reward you now by squeezing even more out of your pockets with this very overpriced stuff, and not even going to include the shipment or give you like a discount on all that stuff. You would have more success, I'm telling you right now, if you would make, for example, the t-shirt for $15 and the pin maybe for $10 max. Plus then the shipment comes on top. Maybe then you would have success. But a t-shirt, $30 is like, yeah, okay price, but not including shipment. It's a big no-go, man. You are not rewarding anybody. You're just pretending that you care for your players. Fuck off, Sony. And fuck off, Sucker Punch in general. You know what? I'm not going to talk about this. Just a side note, maybe. IGN has just launched a platform which has AI included with social media. And it's going to scan social media, who is playing and posting about what and all that. And it's going to make a big database and see which game does well according to the social medias out there. It's overall an interesting approach by IGN, but it's just going to be targeting your preferences and making adjustment to the marketing of games of certain companies, and just display stuff in your feed because you posted about it or talked about it and all that. So it's gonna be very psychological warfare for your money there too. Link down below. But we have to move on because more important stuff, even more important. I mean, that's kind of connected. That's how they can tell about you and your behavior in general. That sounds like something good, but it's not. Because the overall picture is important. Brazil bans the sale of loot boxes to minors. Brazil's president has signed a ban on the sale of loot boxes to players under 18 years old as part of a larger online safety law. Oh, what a surprise! In the same time frame, like the UK published their law and made it active. And the USA has the similar laws going on right now. The COSA, I'm going to repeat that. Keep your eyes open and call your representatives in DC and tell them this bullshit has to go. Don't vote on it. The COSA, Kids Online Safety Act in the US right now, or the Screen Act for that matter, with all that verification bullcrap. It's all connected. It's all connected. With the digital ID, that is. Don't project. Good to see the working class Swiss having their taxes support someone who will spend their funds wisely on the betterment of society. Whatever. Dude, with your new haircut, you need to wearing some leather cowboy gear. That has nothing to do with the news, so whatever. Let's move on. As reported by Eurogamer, Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva signed the ECA digital law earlier this month. The country's first dedicated law to provide protection for children and adolescents in digital environments. Article 20 of the law, which falls under Chapter 7's electronic games section, states that loot boxes offered in electronic games aimed at children and adolescents or likely to be accessible by them are prohibited in accordance with the respective age rating. Translated via Google there. The legislation defines loot boxes or reward boxes as functionality available in a certain electronic games that allows the players to acquire upon payment consumable virtual items or random advantages redeemable by the player or user without prior knowledge of their content or guarantee of their effective usefulness. Like, it sounds nice, like we are not going to allow loot boxes. We don't know, or like you're paying for that and you don't know what's inside it. It's just like, you have no idea what you're buying, pretty much, right? Just chances of something to win there. Sounds like good, but it's more behind all that crap. The law also specifies that it considers situations considering likely access by children or adolescents as the sufficient probability of use and attractiveness of the product or service by minors, the considerable ease of access and use of the product or service by minors, and the significant degree of risk to the privacy, security, or biopsychosocial development of children and adolescents, especially when products aim to enable social interaction and the sharing of information on a large scale between users in a digital environment. You should have just made a block there, just fucking quoting it, not splitting out a block, stupid like that. But yes, they try to protect the children, right, from biopsychosocial development, destroying their brains, right? Think about the children. But again, it's in the same time frame like the UK put out the law. Just this last weekend, we heard a lot about Stormer in the UK, about the digital ID, and it's all connected to that. Because that's the only way to make sure that the illegals or the immigrants in general can't work in the UK. Oh. You're thinking like, it's so stupid, man. It's all so fucking stupid. But they think you are all idiots. I mean, that might be the case for some people, for sure, but it's not about protecting you or your children. But that's going to be the excuse, as usually. The law comes into effect in March 2026, meaning that from that point, game companies can no longer sell loot boxes to players under the age of 18. Now, they specifically say, like, underaged children and adolescents, people, you can't sell those boxes. But it's still allowed to sell loot boxes to adults, right? So how do they know who is how old? Oh, big fucking surprise. You need some kind of verification online. And the verification methods, Discord and all those bigger companies just implemented recently because of the UK law. will not work, will not be sufficient enough in the future. You gonna need some sort of digital government-issued ID online to be verified with. You're gonna see it's gonna develop very quickly the rest of this year, globally even more. For example, supposedly in Switzerland, just yesterday, the Swiss people supposedly, I don't believe in voting. I really don't believe in voting at all. Everything is manipulated. Everything is manipulated. But supposedly, the Swiss people just barely, in the majority, voted for the eID, the electronic ID, yesterday. That finally it's going to happen. Isn't that fucking interesting that this is all happening globally? What a big surprise. No plan behind it, right? Has nothing to do with, I don't know, with the Agenda 2030 being everybody in a big database and your money being connected, your bank account being connected to that ID and all that. If you don't speak up, if you just don't tell all those politicians go fuck themselves, if you don't give any signals, it's gonna get worse, man. I'm telling you. You're just gonna be a number, even more than you already are, actually. And when you're gonna be naughty, if you're gonna be naughty, no matter with what political view you have, if you're just gonna say something against the government, maybe a fine will just be deducted immediately out of your bank account. And you can't do jack shit about it because everything is connected. And this article just shows once more another piece in this whole puzzle. Brazil, big nation, big country there, a lot of people living there, a big economy in South America, actually a big economy globally. It is one of the BRICS state, right? And they are going all along with this Agenda 2030. Just keep that in mind. Hey kid, got a loot box. Wanna come to my place and open it? I have a rule. You're gonna get the fuck out of here, UrhG, today. If you connect me to any sort, in any shape or form, with pedophiles, you are a goner. That goes just too far, buddy. And you just did there. A little pedo connection with me. No, fuck off. I can deal with all kinds of bullshit, but that's just disgusting, man. Fuck off. You're gonna be for today. Just bye-bye. But yes, they are telling you it's gonna be for the safety of kids, but the goal is you need to verify with any kind of ID, digital ID, and it's gonna be connected to the big database. Don't let that just unmentioned go pass by your eyes and ears. So yeah, Brazil is a big country, like I said. It's all connected. BRICS state right there. Now, money. Money is involved in this one. Big story. Not confirmed over the weekend. It was just confirmed like 2 hours ago. And if you want to buy it now. I'm going to show you some numbers, how much you might get or lose. Who knows? Reports Saudi Arabia and the other investors nearing 50 billion deal to buy EA. That was on the weekends. They didn't know about the correct numbers. 55 billion it's going to be. A new report claims that Electronic Arts is close to finalizing a deal to go completely private via a 50 billion US dollars buyout being put together by a group of investors that includes multiple private equity companies as well as Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund, PIF. Deal could be unveiled as soon as next week, which just happened, yes. On September 26th, the Wall Street Journal reported that massive video game publisher EA, the company behind the popular and lucrative annual sports games like Madden, was currently negotiating a deal with various private equity companies, including Silver Lake, that could be worth nearly 50 billion US dollars, according to the source that spoke with the outlet. The groups involved in the deal include the controversial Saudi Arabia Public Investment Fund, which has invested a lot of money in the video game industry over the last few years. The biggest last deal was actually the Saudis pretty much buying up the EVO, the Evolution Online fighting tournament stuff. Now they are pretty much the whole owner of this event. And there's a lot of money invested in that stuff too, you know. Kotaku has contacted EA about the reported deal. Yeah, well, doesn't mean really anything, because they reported on the Financial Times and all those outlets. Please buy them. I'm not so sure, man. I'm not so sure if you should be now aligning with EA or the Saudis, because they're gonna demand stuff in the future. Like, you're not gonna be allowed to say anything critical about certain topics, you know. The Wall Street Journal's report claims that the deal is still being negotiated and the discussion over price are still ongoing. But sources say EA could be valued at 50 billion US dollars. The outlet claims this would likely be the largest leverage buyout of a company in history. Previously, the largest similar deal occurred in 2007 when a group of private equity firms spent 32 billion US dollars on buying up Texas utility company TXU. This new reported deal, which has not yet been officially announced by EA or any parties involved, would be nearly twice as big if you don't factor in inflation. Yeah, well, you have to. It's about value, right? Stupid. If this all goes through, it's just one more very big video game deal that the Saudi Arabia Public Investment Fund, PIF, has made in recent years as part of the country's government trying to sport wash, or in this case, game wash, its abysmal human rights reputation and the fact that the nation is still ruled by a literal monarch. Absolute monarch. Be at least there precise too, man. Bitch. In recent years, the PIF has invested billions across multiple gaming companies, including Activision Blizzard, Nintendo, Capcom, and Nexon. It also completely owns King of Fighters and Metal Slug publisher SNK Corp, which reportedly led to the devs being forced to add famous soccer player Cristiano Ronaldo to the fighting game Fatal Fury: City of the Wolves earlier this year. The PIF is run by Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, and these investments are part of the Saudi Vision 2030 strategy established during Salman's mid-decade rise to power. Yeah, this number is going to be, again, very important. And that's why the Saudis have to go along with certain stuff. They have to open up, because otherwise they will be just excluded from the world government in 2030, which that's the goal. Having a world government there. And if you want a little piece of the pie as this monarch, this ruler entity right now, you have to do something, and can't be just like beheading everybody who is against you right away. You have to do something to please the bigger global audiences there. While the plan is presented as a way for the country to diversify its oil-centric economy, the reality is much different. Here's what former Kotaku writer Ian Walker wrote about Salman, the PIF, and the Saudi Arabia's plan in 2022. In reality, however, Saudi Vision 2030 is largely a propaganda campaign focused on whitewashing Saudi Arabia's atrocious human rights record. And they focus, as usual, about the gay rights and the queer and the transgender rights and all that. And not about rights, just criticize the Saudi monarchs there in default. Or the religion, for that matter. Yeah, you're focused too much on the gay shit as usual. The regressive monarchy seemingly hopes that aligning itself with entertainment industries around the world might loosen the purse strings of business wary of investing in the oil-rich country's economy, especially with the murder of journalist Jamal Khashoggi and the ongoing US-backed Yemeni genocide still looming overhead. At least I guess you mentioned something else beside the queer and gay shit. But even the Jamal Khashoggi, you don't care for that guy either, just because he was a journalist. You don't care for that. But yeah, it's usually stupid bullcrap. You will be switched off from your money, your socials, your job, etc. With the digital ID, yes. Lol, why did UrhG get booted? I was on call and missed it. For the same reasons you were booted on one show. The very, very same reasons. Because you think you're edgy and funny. Idiots. So yeah, while it might sound nice that EA reportedly won't answer stockholder in the near future, the publisher's potential new owners and investors are much, much worse than annoying dudes in suits yelling about the number not going up fast enough. I mean, we don't know yet. We have to wait. That's gonna take 2-3 years till we see like how games are gonna be developed, how they're gonna be published. Is censoring going on a lot? How the censor is gonna look like? Will we ever see any nipple by any EA games? Who knows? Who knows? I'm not looking forward to that development. No monarch should have any saying in video games. That's just my opinion. And today, this was published, this article, now that the deal is like done pretty much. We are just waiting for the SEC to confirm and to approve this deal. But usually the SEC rarely declines deals from happening because there's no monopoly going on, right? That's the main issue the SEC usually has. And since it's not a monopoly, like you have Microsoft and then you have the EA, right? And Ubisoft is there too and all that. So they're not gonna do anything about this. I don't think so. EA announces unprecedented $55 billion sale to Saudi Arabia, Jared Kushner's private equity group, and others. Another one of the biggest game publisher in the world is being sold. On Monday, Electronic Arts announced a $55 billion deal to take the publisher behind massive franchises like Madden, The Sims, and Apex Legends. I don't think that's a massive IP or franchise. But The Sims, yes, that's a moneymaker. All the sports games, all the sport games by EA. EA. Inshallah, it's in the game. In the future. That would be funny, right? But yes, Apex Legend, I don't know why you included that shit. Selling to Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund. PIF. What a stupid acronym. PIF. Go PIF yourself. Silver Lake and President Donald Trump's nephew Jared Kushner's affinity partners. He's gonna make his share, man. Holy shit. And I don't like Kushner. I think he's a slimy little fucker there. But yeah. Our creative and passionate teams at EA have delivered extraordinary experiences for hundreds of millions of fans, built some of the world's most iconic IP, and created significant value for our business. I mean, what follows now is just a lot of mumbo-jumbo business talk and all that business wording stuff. Nothing really behind it, just praising yourself to the highest of the levels. This moment is a powerful recognition of the remarkable work, CEO Andrew Wilson said in a press release. Looking ahead, we will continue to push the boundaries of entertainment, sports, and technology, unlocking new opportunities. Together with our partners, we will create transformative experiences to inspire generations to come. I am more energized than ever about the future we are building. I mean, You probably have some shares yourself, and depending on how much you have, you're going to make a decent buck there. Or you have already also a deal signed for yourself. Damn, I missed some shit. I think they done okay with Neo Geo. King of Fighters and Fatal Fury are pretty based. I didn't like check what that might change so far. But yes, like I said, they have to somewhat open up anyway. If you have to show a little bit skin or a little bit violence and all that in your products, in your video games in the future, to get your chair at the big government table in the future in 2030, you have to compromise your certain beliefs there. Your monarchy is not going to be worth a lot if in the future they're just going to not care for you or your oil anymore, you know? And just going to take it. Who knows? Wilson will remain as CEO with a deal expected to close by mid-early 2026, pending regulatory approvals. The full press release is below. Under the terms of agreement, the consortium will acquire 100% of EA, with PIF rolling over its existing 9.9% stake in the company. EA stockholders will receive $210 per share in cash. So that's my question. I'm not big into stock buying and selling and all that. So how exactly will and can that even work, really? Like, you holding now the company still on the stock market, you still can get it right now for the price of about $170, maybe a little bit more, maybe 180, something like that. I mean, I have an app. I can check in Swiss francs and tell you. Give me uno segundo here. This stupid app can't recognize my tips. Investment, EA. It went down a little bit, which is unusual today. After the announcement, I would have expected it rises. Now it's about, if I convert it into US dollars, 190 US dollars. At least on this market, I am seeing it in Swiss market. So if I would buy, I don't know, 10 shares for 190 US dollars now, and this deal will be finalized in next year, in the first quarter, the fiscal year 2027. Yeah, or 2026, I mean. I could make money, right? So, but I can make only money by them just telling you it's going to be privatized. I was not asked as a shareholder. It's just going to be privatized. This news came pretty much out of nowhere. Like, nobody knew really that this is going to happen. How does that work? How is that allowed in general? Like, are you as an owner of the company, as a partial owner, having a voice there? Oh, no, they're just going to buy it and you're going to get your money for it and that's it? You have no sayings all of a sudden. It's just kind of weird, in my opinion. But that gives me like fuel, just saying stocks are just also a scam overall. Was made up pretty much 115 years, 120 years ago, in the same time frame like the Fed was established. Isn't that weird too? A little bit earlier than the Fed, actually. And that what made certain banks go bankrupt and people go into bank runs and making lose all their money because people just bought shares and all of a sudden those shares were useless because another company sold them for cheap ass pennies. Yeah, it's all weird. I don't know how that will really work out. But when the SEC is gonna give their okay, if you hold shares of EA, you're gonna get $210 in cash per share. And you take it or don't take it. They don't care. They're just gonna pay that out, it seems. And you have no sayings anymore. Only those three companies, Silver Lake and Jared Kushner's company, Affinity Partners, and the PIF, are gonna be the bosses there. So either you go play along or you lose all you have in that company. PIF, Silver Lake, and Affinity Partners bring deep sector experience, committed capital, and global portfolios with networks across gaming, entertainment, and sports that offer unique possibilities for EA to blend physical and digital experiences, enhance fan engagement, and create new growth opportunities. Their transaction represents the largest all-cash sponsor take-private investment in history. The consortium partnering closely with EA to enable the company to move faster and unlock new opportunities on a global stage. I mean, it's not a lot of opportunities if you are gonna concentrate money and power there. That's not more opportunities, that's less. Because no new investor can go into this company, and let's see how this IPs, all those IPs by EA are going to change. We don't know that at all. Our creative and passionate teams at EA have been delivered extraordinary experiences for hundreds of millions of fans, built some of the world's most iconic IP, and created significant value for our business. This moment is a powerful recognition of their remarkable work, said Adrian Wilson, Chairman and CEO of Electronic Arts. Looking ahead, we will continue to push the boundaries of entertainment, sports, and technology, unlocking new opportunities. Together with our partners, we will create transformative experiences to inspire generations to come. I am more energized than ever about the future we are building. PIF is uniquely positioned in the global gaming and esports sector, building and supporting ecosystems that connect fans, developers, and IP creators, said Turki Alnavaisir. I don't know exactly if I butchered his name, but who cares, really? Deputy Governor and Head of International Investment at PIF. PIF has demonstrated a strong commitment to these sectors, and this partnership will help further drive EA's long-term growth while fueling innovation within the industry on a global scale. And then it tells us about Silver Lake and how great they are with money and investments, and Electronic Arts is so extraordinary and all that stuff. It's just business talk here, and I'm just mainly concerned about censoring the IPs. On the other hand, I don't actually remember when I bought last time an EA game, but it might change the EA landscape about games in the future, in the near future, probably next year. JP Morgan Chase is gonna put some money in as a mediatory money giver for the time being too. I'm kind of concerned. I don't like that it's gonna go private completely, especially not by monarchs, by Arabic monarchs there. And Saudi Arabia is an absolute monarchy. So expect some censoring will happen in certain games, or certain games just not going to be published at all anymore. And for sure, for absolute sure, you're not going to have political statements in the games against the Saudis in the future. That's all I can say. And I find it just weird though too that Jared Kushner, which is comes from a family of Orthodox Jews, that's also kind of weird that they play together there, money-wise. But maybe if it comes to money, who cares about ideals and your principles, right? Who knows? But yes, Go read the whole thing for yourself if you want to know in more details with your own words in your head. I am very, very skeptical about this deal, and it just shows you that more power is concentrated in gaming and everything towards the digital ID age. And they're gonna need verification on the EA side too. I'm telling you, Ahoy Bimo, they're gonna take this approach too in the near future in Saudi Arabia, and because the EA is now then owned by the Saudis, they need to protect their people, of course, by the baddies and the children mainly, like from weird political stance and all that. And so we need also a digital ID, and when enough countries, when a certain threshold just implemented already digital IDs of some sort, even if they are not mandatory, but they are able to give it to you, like, isn't that friendly? Isn't that generous, giving you the digital ID? Now they have a saying, the Saudis, with the EA, and because they need to protect the children too. How about the digital ID there too? Otherwise, how will they find out who is underage? How will they find out? UK, digital ID, the Germans have that already. Estonia is 1.5 decades ahead, 2 decades ahead of us all. China, of course, is a hellhole of digital ID and you being shunned on the streets. Crazy. Australia has a digital ID. They just haven't put it to everybody's hands out. Switzerland just voted yesterday, supposedly, for the digital ID. Of course, it's not mandatory, but I've seen what happened with not mandatory stuff in the scamdemic, for example. If you don't have certain verification that you have done something according to the government, you're not going to have access to the restaurant. You're not going to have access to the public transportation if you don't go along with all that crap, man. So I think that's just another piece showing you what is going on in the world of gaming, at least. And EA being bought up by the Saudis, they have another now excuse to implement sooner or later digital ID. Otherwise, people are not going to be able to play their games anymore. It's all a shithole. You have to speak up. That's all I can say. Speak up against it in your capacity, even if it's only one phone call or an email to your representative in DC. Not that you have to vote there, but you have still a voice, right? And if you voice your concerns this way, you did something. Don't be surprised later on when in 3 years, let's say in 2028-ish, all of a sudden the cash is gone. Mysteriously, globally, just vanishes. You know? And if you need now finally an ID, don't fucking cry then. You discredited yourself by not doing anything at all. Just saying. I use Linux and de-googled Android. Digital ID is already everywhere Google is. Yeah, but that's not the same. That's not the same. Because you can get a bank account without the digital ID, without Google. You know, they don't demand Google from you. They might demand it if you want to do online stuff like Google authenticated codes and all that. But all that is not like the real thing here at all. Google has some kind of database for sure, and that's going to be connected later on because your digital ID will be above the Google stuff. So Google is going to connect to some government API, some database, and transfer all their data they have. So yeah, it's going to be a shit show, and we're going to see more this year. Keep an eye open about the digital IDs in other countries. They're going to demand it. They're going to, at the beginning, not right away demand it, but very soon enough, gonna be like in the UK, telling you lies, all kinds of lies, like yeah, you need it, otherwise you can't work, and we have to do this measurement because the immigrants are gonna work otherwise, and that's how we're gonna make sure you're gonna be able to work. I'm not telling you that the immigrants are gonna get the same ID anyway. It's all a shit show. All a shit show. I love how they lie to sell us a digital ID. It is for safety. Yeah, for their safety. Anyhow, I try to present you some news as usual. It's hard to give like in-depth stuff because this news, EA being bought up, finally just got announced 2.5 hours from now on. Today, confirmed. I'm just not looking forward to all that crap. I'm speaking up against this shit. And I told my government, my state attorneys, my police, I don't care for you. You can fart in your fucking chair all day long. You are all criminals. I don't care. Don't write back. I just don't care. Leave me alone. I have no deals with you. I have no contracts with you anymore. I don't care. Fuck off. Whatever. So yeah. Anyhow, keep an eye open. Don't be just silent. If you keep silent about that stuff, the globalists, that's literally globalist stuff there. They're gonna fuck you in the ass. And if you deny access to your ass, they're gonna put you in the prison and you're gonna be ass raped anyway. So, yeah. Have a great rest of your day. The week just started and it didn't start too well in my opinion. But it is what it is. Thank you for being around. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Wherever that might be or whatever time might be it at your place. Morning, evening, night. Enjoy it. Bye-bye. You did an okay job today, Ike. Oh, only okay? Well, better than shitty job, right? Ike have a nice eyelashes. You think they are implements? Chatter, you're lame. Your jokes are just lame, man, I'm telling you. I know you're convincing others that you are super funny, but you're not. But you can't keep doing those lame ass jokes. I laughed. Yeah, I bet you did. Doesn't make them good because it talks to your intellect, obviously. I like lame ass jokes. Well, then visit more his stream. It's just lame about joking the whole time about appearances of people. That's like low lame effort bullshit. It's okay when you do it once in a long while, but if that's the only thing you can attack, it's really lame.